Good morning from me and my favorite pajamas. Whoa. Guys, it's not even early. I'm on like day 8 of my vacation, and it took everything in me to turn this camera on and film this video. But that's first world problem. Today we're going to talk about food dyes. Let me say this first statement, then we're going to really break it down, tear it apart as I get ready for the day. Food dyes are not the problem with our health. Let's break it down. So here in the US, over the past 6 to 12 months, you've seen a lot more talk about food dyes and the impact that they have on our health, and even like comparisons to other countries and what they allow, and all of this talk around food dyes. I would definitely say this has gotten a lot more traction with the MAHA movement, or the Make America Healthy Again movement, which I've already done an entire video on if you want to learn more about my feelings on that. But one of the large beliefs in this movement is that if we can just remove artificial dyes and sweeteners and ingredients from our foods, we will all be healthier. Specifically, you hear a lot of this being talked about within people who have like autoimmune diseases or chronic illness, and there's a lot of claims that cutting these ingredients from our foods will eliminate those. And if you've seen any of my videos before, you will probably guess that, in my opinion, we really do need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture in terms of all of our different habits with nutrition, with our movement, with our sleep, yada, yada, yada. Like, yeah, there are absolutely different swaps we can make with our food choices to potentially reduce inflammation or like increase our nutrient intake. But just deciding to like ban red 40 across the board is not necessarily going to make people healthier, because it's not actually addressing their lifestyle and their choices. It's simply too small scale. You know, I actually started thinking about this video when I was watching Ryan Trahan's like 50 States in 50 Days challenge, where him and his wife went to 50 states in 50 days and ended up raising, I think, like $11 or $12 million for St. Jude, which is amazing. And I thought that the whole series was really creative and really fun. But if you watch that series, you will also know that Ryan owns or co-owns a company called Joyride, which is like a candy company with better ingredients. Specifically, their mission is to provide candy to people that removes all of the artificial junk ingredients. Now, to be fair, before I keep going here, I don't think there's anything wrong with having an alternative candy like that. It is a little bit lower in sugar compared to like most other fruity candies, but I do respect the fact that like nowhere on the packaging it says it's a healthier option or it's healthy for you. It doesn't say that anywhere on the website either, but I also do think it's kind of implied. And I think the thing that we're kind of missing from the conversation around these like all natural candies or like clean ingredient candies is that it is still candy. It's still quick carbs, which absolutely have a time and a place, but also in moderation. And, you know, while I realize that Ryan is not a health influencer by any means, I do kind of just feel like there's a disconnect here. Especially like if you're watching the series, or if you watched it, it's over now, but if you watch the series, like literally all of their meals are McDonald's or Dunkin', or like they make a point one day to get something that's not fast food, but it's like ramen with no meat and no vegetables. But then in every video, they're talking about Joyride, which I respect, like plug your product, but talking about how it's like the better alternative. And I don't know, I do just think like as someone who interacts with everyday people, there are a lot of people who maybe don't realize that like in terms of your health, it is pretty much the same as just eating Sour Patch Kids. Like if you really compared ingredient labels, it's not really that different. And again, Ryan is not making wild claims. I do respect even the fact that like he has never even said it's a healthy alternative. But I think this just goes to show like the larger disconnect in our society, which is really trickled down from like government decisions on what they want to subsidize and like legislature. You know, two quick examples that come to mind in terms of like government oversight and like legislation. What was the like In-N-Out or Shake Shack? I don't know. One of the fast food places is like, we're no longer using seed oils in our fries. We're using beef tallow, which is actually like in the grand scheme of things, probably a way worse option for your health. And then like the celebrations of like, we're adding real sugar back into Coca-Cola, which by the way it's just Mexican Coke. It's always been around. And it's not that Coca-Cola is like eliminating the artificial sweetener. They're just like giving another option. It's insane to me. And here's why we're going to explain we're going to explain why this is insane to me. The final chunk here, which is like how you actually get real lasting change. Because the thought of just like, okay, I am no longer going to eat red food dye, which by the way, I am allergic to, but I'm no longer going to eat red food dye, so I'm not going to have Swedish fish anymore. I'm going to have this alternative candy that doesn't use red food dye, but it still has a ton of sugar in it. And like the issue isn't the food dye that's causing diabetes and heart disease and just like these chronic health issues. It's the overconsumption of hyper palatable foods. So like it's just that old saying, like we're missing the forest for the trees. We're zooming in on too many little tiny individual details when really we just need to like zoom out and look at the big picture. So anyway, how do we implement real lasting change? So if a client comes to me and wants to chat about nutrition and I ask them to like lay out their day and I see that they have like a Kit Kat bar at the end of the day, in no way, shape, or form is my first response going to be, oh, well, let's sub out that Kit Kat bar for a healthier Kit Kat bar. And we just explained why that is, right? It doesn't matter. That's not where the real lasting change comes in. Actionable steps for consumers, which I do think could be better taught to people in general, are how do we build a balanced plate? What's a balanced plate? For most people, that's going to be protein, carbs, fat, and then some sort of color like a vegetable or a fruit. And then let's take it a step further. How do we implement that balanced plate for your lifestyle and your budget and your price point? Then taking it beyond nutrition. Is that straw been in frame the whole time? That's annoying. Anyway, taking it beyond nutrition, let's look at your daily movement. Are you strength training? Are you getting your heart rate up? Are you moving throughout your day? How's your sleep? How's your stress management? These are all things that I do believe people that work in health and fitness could continue to do a better job educating their clients and potential clients and just like the general public about. But unfortunately, so much of this industry has really shifted just more so to like the profit. So a lot of even just like the stuff that you see online from people isn't really actionable advice. It's meant as clickbait to go viral to get people to buy something without educating them. So anyway, that's a side tangent. And honestly, I think that there are some really great pieces of actionable advice our government could take. I know sometimes people don't like when I talk about these things, but like the society that we live in does impact our health in certain ways. If we're talking this country specifically, healthcare, that'd be nice. Want to get deeper into the weeds there, maybe providing paid maternity leave for mothers and families in general. I believe there's only like 7 wealthy countries in the world that don't provide that for women, and we're one of them. Increasing the minimum wage to actually match inflation and the cost of living. You know, even if people know what to eat, a lot of times it's unaffordable to purchase those items. Or even if it is affordable to purchase those items, we have to think about like the time that it takes to prepare those items. So like, yeah, you can buy meat and then bulk beans and rice and whatever, but like, do you have the time to prepare those things for yourself and your family because of the income that you're making? Like, are you working 2 jobs to provide for your family? So do you even have the time to prepare these things? People don't like when I say that because they're like, you're just making excuses. I'm like, I'm not making excuses. I am talking about real problems that people face. And as someone who is trying to help people improve their health, I thought that was the point. Like, let's problem solve. Other actionable steps for the government that they could take is investing in public infrastructure, public parks, public spaces. I know some of my Canadian clients have like state-funded gyms. That'd be awesome. And then just like I said earlier, overall education about our health. I know that a lot of people want like really small government and they don't want handouts, which I respond, why do you want everyone to suffer so much? Which like I do get to a point. I'd also argue the party of small government is not so small right now, but that's a different topic. But you know, a lot of times you hear this argument of like, I had to work a full-time job and I still got up at 4 a.m. to get in my workouts and then go to work and then come home and feed the kids and then pass out before doing it all over again. So everyone else should. And I'm just like, why do you want everyone to suffer so much? It's giving the same energy as people who are like, I paid my student loans, so you should all have to. I'm like, I also paid my student loans and it fucking sucked. If other people can avoid that, that's amazing. Also, the student loan thing is really about how predatory these things are and how wild the interest rates are, but that's not my wheelhouse. I think the point is just like, y'all, we're all on a floating rock in space. Like, this is it. Well, depending on what you believe. But government and society should be set up in a way to support the people in it. All right, we're done. Now we just need to let this fall a little bit. Yeah, so moral of the story, to sum up this whole video, things like food dyes and seed oils and ingredients that maybe you can't pronounce. Long-term studies show no evidence that these are the things leading to chronic illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, different chronic illnesses. The studies actually show that these are due to overconsumption of hyper-palatable foods. So if we eliminate food dyes and artificial ingredients and seed oils from our foods, but we're not actually addressing the things that are making these foods so unhealthy, what are we doing? Let me know your thoughts below. We took a lot of twists and turns as we were getting ready for the day, but we finally got to a nice cohesive thought at the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and I will see you in the next one.